With big parts comes great responsibility. And as you can see, I am at Votaw Precision Technologies. This company started in 1963 and makes some massive components. In fact, these components are so good, so high quality, that they have won not one, but 2 Silver Snoopy Awards. We're about to step inside and meet with Art and walk around 250,000 square feet. So I hope you'll join me. Well, my friends, we made it inside, and I get to spend time with Art today. Art, let me say how grateful I am that you've allowed cameras to come into this facility. I mean, the artwork on the walls, what you're making, defense, aerospace, some massive components. We like to talk about it. We'll put it into a magazine. We maybe take a picture or two, but getting here in real life, in real time, to show the size of some, I mean, I'm not that big of a person to begin with, but the size of some of these components, just thank you so much.
No, yeah, I appreciate you coming out and recognizing us. So let's hope we can get a good shot of everything you need to look at. So,
well, the first thing I want to talk about is history, and I feel like this is a good spot because what a cool looking wall. It looks like the history is here, isn't it?
Exactly. We started in 1963, first Votaw building right there, and basically this mural kind of develops as the ages go through. You might see up over here drafting by hand. You know, so that was the years of the
good old days
and early 70s, right? As you work your way around the right hand here, you start seeing some of the more modern machine works and all the way down to the satellites and the space launch vehicle type work. So, but yeah, so we want to continue that continue to the right, and as more
the wall will continue to fill up.
It'll grow, yeah.
Well, I know a few good artists. If you need some good artists, but I imagine you do as well. All right, it would be really rude of me to not ask about this because the audience I know right now, they said, Tony, you're standing in front of this beautiful green machine on purpose, so you better start talking about it. Art, I know about this, but let's share with what you're making here.
So this is the what we call the Gator. It's basically built for the Marines. It is a trailer that it's a ground support and an air support radar system. As you can see over in the center where the hub's at is the radar attachment that will be added on at a later assembly line.
That's this section here,
yes,
right? Yes,
exactly. So every component you see here was made here in Votaw. It's made out of aluminum. It's basically riveted in place. So you can see throughout the trailer here, there's a lot of components here that are all aluminum. So right now this is staged for a road test. Every trailer gets weights on it, and we do the road test on it.
When you say road test,
there's
could you mind describing what that means?
Yeah, there's a specific weight we put on this, and the back end, secured to the back end. We hook up our truck. We have our trailer truck to hook up here, and there's a specific route on the dirt, on the road, and basically a terrain, different components that the Marines will run across. So there is an area we go and do the testing. So this will check for rigidity, stability, the braking system, the airlines, things like that. So this is basically a road run.
This one's about ready to go?
This is ready to go. We're putting a couple things together and we're ready to run.
I imagine these other beautiful green beasts over here are
the earlier stages.
The earlier stages of what we just saw, right?
Yeah, as you start from the back end over here, we have different stages. We have up to 4 stages. So there's different components in the right sequence, and we attach and do the assembly work. So right now you see attached here is a couple of drill arms, more assembly work on the sub table that are flat. We've come across, as we start working our way out, we get a little bit more detailed finish work. And you can see there's one over here that's about 80% complete.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, so that one there is 80% complete.
I'm going to ask a rhetorical question, but I feel like I need to ask it anyway. They're all road tested?
Yes, every one of them, yes.
So, and the one over here?
The one over here is been road tested. Now we're cleaning it up and doing the final touch-ups.
Okay. So this one's proven to work.
It's proven to work. It's passed the checklist, the lights, the rest of the components that go on here.
And the majority of the work for these Gator assemblies is done in this room, or you utilize your other machines?
We utilize other machines also. In this case, we might be using what we have our tri-mill. So we do some of the larger parts over there.
Okay.
For the bulk of the work, all the smaller components, mid-sized parts, we do them on these machines, the Fidels and the Haas.
That makes sense. Oh, and I know you have about 250,000 square feet in total. About how much is this facility, though?
Right now, I don't have the number. This is one of our first buildings.
Yeah, one of the early stages.
Earlier stages.
That's why they have the murals over there, right?
Yes. So I don't have the exact number. I don't even want to guess because it's a good section here. We can not only this here, but also go across. But I'm guessing it's about 1/3 of our floor space.
Yeah, well, the parts you're
maybe
making...
Maybe less, maybe 1/4, maybe.
The parts you're making, you need floor space.
Yeah, as we work our way around, you'll see bigger floor space in the rest of our buildings that these are where you can see these are lower ceiling buildings. As we work our way across here, we have 25, 30-foot ceilings.
Well, let's head over to the other building because that's where some of the crazy cool work is at over there.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you and I are going to talk for the next 3 hours. This could be the longest tour we've ever had on YouTube.
Yeah.
So let's head on over there. Come
Sounds
on, my
good.
friends. Join Art and I. We're going to head over to the other building. Some of these parts are going to blow your mind. Well, Art, we've made it into another one of your buildings in the 250,000 square feet. And in fact, just for fun, we're standing in front, even though it happens to be at the entrance. It makes all the sense. One of the coolest parts I've seen. It's actually 3 pieces assembled into one, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. It's this is what we call a base plate. It is the main engine bulkhead. So as you can see, the 2 openings are where the thrust will be coming through here. So it's getting ready to be packed, ready to ship. So this job has been bought and inspected and ready to roll.
I'm mesmerized by not only the size of parts, but even your shipping crates. Your shipping crates just continue to... it's not every day we get to spend time in a facility like yours, Art. And I believe when you started this conversation, it's almost not a niche area of manufacturing, but you do have to invest a lot of money in some of these huge machines. I mean, even the cranes that you have to invest in. And we're gonna walk upon a part down there.
Oh, yeah.
That is what'd you say, 80,000?
It started out at 80,000 pound forging, and it's going out the door here finished at 50,000.
And the weight that you guys work with it's just different. It's different from what most people get to see.
Yes.
So you've been doing this here for 40 years, am I correct?
Come 40 years, start in April 1st, actually Fool's Day, is where I started in 1985.
That's, and what have you learned about the importance of quality and precision and having the right customers as we walk by a machine that's bigger than a lot of the merry-go-rounds I was on as a kid?
Well, number one is the employees. You got to get some quality workers. Not only quality, but have the aptitude and understanding of machining. There's nothing better than when you have that heart of wanting to work parts that you can really grow somebody. And the majority of you see the folks here have a long history with Votaw. We have quite a few of us that are 20 plus years here. Right behind it, we've been trying to grow our young machinists, our young programmers, our young inspectors. So that is a task where you need to understand the person, what their abilities are, and watch them grow. And that's always the hardest part, is trying to find the right aptitude of somebody wanting to machine. When you do have that chemistry, we have a lot of young kids here that have that attitude and that drive. They look forward and growing. Those are the ones that are taking over for our older folks here. So we're growing. There's going to be a handful of us retiring here in the next 5 years or less.
Not you though.
Not me, not yet. We'll see if I can talk my wife into that. I love staying here. That's a problem. But there is in all seriousness, it's growing our people, and that's where you talk about precision, making quality parts. Yes, but not anybody can just do that. You have the employees, and then you have the equipment. Those are key. So
yeah, let's walk over here a little bit, just because I want to show the audience some of these parts as they're actually off the table. And you mentioned how important the people are here. This young man, incredibly important.
One of our better VTL operators.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. So look at the size of these rings. Now, what do these go to? What are we making here?
These are all part of the launch vehicle.
Okay.
At this stage, you see they've been rough machined because you got to take these in stages. Not only to relax the part, but also hold close tolerance. We're talking about, at times, something this diameter as much as 10 thou tolerance on a diameters. Wall thickness, plus or minus, 10. So there's a certain process that we've been able to process and have success with, is roughing. roughing, turning, rough machining, and then finished turning. It all depends on the geometry of the parts that dictates how many times we run that cycle. So what you see here is our components to the one of our vehicles that rocket either on the Artemis. So and then the SLS work that we do also. So
that's fascinating, and I love seeing how these chip bins just build up. You never run off and jump into one of those, have you?
No. That's we never see a lot of that. That's money.
That's money being made.
That's money being made. Yeah.
I like
that.
that.
You can see stainless steel here to my right.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot.
I want to get back as we walk into the next area of your shop here, back on the topic of having the right people, because you mentioned a training program, right? And I would imagine, if I'm going to make an assumption, which I try not to make too many assumptions, you know what that does. You ever get taught what assuming does, right?
Exactly.
But I would make the assumption that not every or any trade school has these size machines to be trained on.
No.
So what are you doing internally to make sure people feel comfortable when they start working on this technology?
Well, we start off by putting the right part with the right operator. We don't put our junior guys on some of the, critical because they're not ready yet. So there is a selected jobs that we would just pass over here that we have some of our folks that are getting groomed to be a top-notch operator. So it's a delicate balance. And we don't always have that choice of work, but the key is to be able to put the person in the right part, and then that's how we train them. So we have 3 key operators here. So I have my operator over here that sits on this machine.
As we try not to get into any pinch points, because work is actually going on. They did not shut down for this video tour, did they?
No.
And we wouldn't want them to. We wouldn't want them to. We want to give them all thumbs up and keep them working.
So we have what I was saying. We have 3 key operators who not only do their work, but also are checkers or supports for our junior guys. So that's how we basically grow our operators to develop. There's some that develop a lot quicker and some that need a little more times, but for the most part, that's how we're growing our operators. Reaching out there is once in a while we do have some that are out there that we know about that they come highly recommended. But
we get lucky like that sometimes, right?
Yeah, but for the most part, we're at the stage where we have to train our own.
Yeah.
So this is best.
Yeah, I agree.
We teach them everything we can.
I like to ask that question because it's something that here in the USA we need to do a better job of. Exactly. I've traveled around the world. I've been to a bunch of countries and I've seen training programs and they're doing, a great job. If we could learn from that, start doing it internally like you are as well, but pass that message across. I think this helps everyone. This helps U.S. manufacturing. This helps shops individually.
Oh, exactly.
Now, we made a joke earlier when we stepped into this building about a part that was 80,000 pounds. 80,000 pounds.
Coming in,
cut down to almost half. That you didn't even have the crane for when it first came in because it was so daggone heavy and you had to get it brought into you. This is that part, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a stainless steel forging. Unfortunately, not realizing how much excess the weight this thing carried on here. Our capacity on this crane was 60,000 pounds. So we did not want to risk it and doing anything like that. So we had to hire outside crane operator. But when it's all said and done, when this got machined complete, the end result of the weight was 50,000 pounds, just a little bit under that. So we're talking 30,000 pounds of chips.
Money, as you like to call it.
Yeah, there are a lot of machine work going on that.
That's incredible. All right, let's continue to walk. Now, as we do this, I want to ask you a question. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions because the next section that we're going to get to that I think is really worth highlighting is on the other side of that wall. So in the meantime, and you've been doing this for 40 years over here, have you ever machined anything small? I don't know, like a medical part? That world is foreign to you, right?
It is. When we do get quotes to come in and look at it, basically we kind of make sure it fits our machine. So once they know what we're all about, size-wise, and what we really can quote on. But there is once in a while the customer wants us to do it. And so we'll take that. So yeah, we don't see too many small parts, to your point.
I like to make that joke because what that does is it actually separates you. I've worked in companies where they'll make a phone call and say, hey, I don't have a machine that can do this. Can you help me out? I imagine you get calls like that all the time.
Yeah.
Just because there's not a ton of shops out there that have invested in this size of a machine shop and these size of machines.
To your point, exactly. There is people out there says, I need help. I can't find anybody to do this. Either we look at it or help us says, we know some, some of our smaller shops, that support us in smaller parts, and we'll help them that way. So, but yeah, they're, unless we really think we can get done on the machines, then we'll end up supporting them. And those are the smaller machines we saw over by the Gator program. So that's those machines we call small because those are all smaller
they weren't small at all, but they're small to you.
They're small to us, yeah.
Yeah, what's normal to the spider is chaos to the fly. This is what I've learned a long time ago. All right, so when we're making parts this size and you have lead times and you have cycle times that are quite long, how much value do you place on, since 1963, making the parts and the components to the accuracy and requirements of your partners in a time frame that matters, and with a lead time that gives them success, but also achieving all the quality without scrapping? You scrap a part, you're out thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
Easy.
So how do you focus so much on making sure these parts are good?
Well, as far as what they're good, we have a process here where we check tight tolerance holes. They're undersized, check for location and position, and adjust accordingly. And we're talking something that in the neighborhood of 5 thou true position or less. Mm-hmm. Most of our machines can hold true position of 10 and drill and bore with the accuracy, with the machine operator buy-off and an inspector buy-off maybe first article if it is only multiple parts. So that's how we handle the maintaining our accuracy, is that we have a process. And like I explained earlier, our turning, milling, roughing, things like that are the cycles that run it. This is to minimize distortion, let it relax, basically kill the part from moving. And after you're done with that, then you basically start zeroing in. It's also important, as most machine shops understand, is you save your most critical tolerancing for the last operation. After all datums are established, the flatness are all there, then you finish your last critical holes. That's how we try to assure that we achieve engineering requirements.
Yeah. You mentioned something to me that I think is important while we continue to walk through this huge facility, and that's deviation of parts. Now, I can claim that I can machine something, Art. I can claim that I can keep my tolerances within that 5 plus or minus 5, as you mentioned, or plus or minus 10, or plus or minus 1, depending on what's required. But you don't actually know that until you get into a material, you start playing with that material, the thinness of the material, the size of the material.
Very important.
So this comes from years and years and years of trial, success, error, growing. That's what you guys have here, is that longevity to say, if you have parts, if you have difficult parts, if you have big parts, give us a call. We have a history here that can make it work for you.
Exactly. Our name Votaw carries a lot of legacy from previous programs that we've done here before. So it's always difficult to get that word out, that what we have here. We've gotten quite a few customers visit and sit back and just say, I'm amazed, I didn't know you guys can do that. In fact, we had a job that they had a large weldment and they had to figure out how to machine it. They were walking by on a tour and the buyer called the other buyer and says, hey, guess what? Votaw has a machine to do that. So we're the kind of a best kept secret at times until somebody sees it and it basically grows that way. So there's a new flux of younger buyers and whatnot. We have there's a change. There's things turning over a little bit on some of our customers. So we have to get the word out there, what we can do and what we can do and what we have done. So that really carries our name well when we produce.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're gonna like what I'm about to say, Art, but the word is about to get out. When we release this video and we show machines like this, that's bigger than my house. That's bigger than any dance floor I've ever been on. Yeah. That is a machine. But this is standard for you. This world of massive is standard for you. So I hope you're ready, buddy, because when this video hits YouTube, people are gonna know. People are gonna know.
No, and we got room to grow. So there's spaces for more machines.
I love it. I love it. And we just walked through some of your machines that seem more modern and
Yes.
you know, recently purchased. But I know we're getting ready to stumble upon a machine that you're going to retire
Yes.
when the young man that's running the machine retires as well. So
Yes.
you really have a mix of everything from a legacy machine
Right.
to a newer machine, making sure that you keep up with the times, but not tossing things, because this young man can still get you within plus or minus one
Oh, exactly.
manually. Can you tell that story real quick?
Yeah, so you know we've had a plate that needed a series of holes, 80 holes to be exact. We all had to be a true position 10. We felt comfortable with the machine and the operator. So when it was all said and done, this part went to inspection, the CMM. I had the inspector tell me in awe, saying, "Who machined this?" And my look was, "Well, why? What's wrong with it?" You know.
Right. That would be my first question
I
too.
go, "Why?" You know, and so the damn thing was accurate within 1 thou all the way around XY. I go, "Well, we did it manually." They go, "Manually?" He goes, "Yeah." And our runtime was with this operator. So the skill level and knowing the machine is really you can't replace that. So this is where we're at. So that's why we agreed when the parts and the operator decides to retire. Well, I'm going to retire the machine. I won't be able to find a manual operator.
We're going to miss him.
Yeah. So that's why he's still around.
So as we continue to walk and we head closer to your CMM room, where I've heard the rumor you can't ever machine a part if you can't measure it. And your CMM room, your measurement room, is really cool, because you walk in and it's pretty much the entire room is that. But
Yeah.
I want to bring up a conversation I had recently, Art, and that was that some people believe that the generation that's getting ready to retire and the generation that's coming in, there's a disconnect of either sharing knowledge or wanting to have knowledge shared and willingness to learn. But you have done something incredible here. You just showed me a gentleman who's been around as long as the machine, and the machine
Right.
will likely go, but you've also talked to me about an internal training program, and I know we walked by your buddy Michael running that tree mill machine, and
Right,
he's not but
right.
30 years old. So
No.
it's very obvious to me, as we see someone spotlessly, meticulously working on this piece of Inconel right now. Good
Right.
grief. Kudos to them. But I bring that up because we're actually looking at it. But you have done a wonderful job of transitioning that information from the generation to generation to generation.
Yes.
And a lot of people are having that trouble right now. Do you have any advice to offer from a company like yours that's been around as long as you have, to kind of bring it all together in-house and help everyone get along in that way?
Yeah, there's a few things that come into hiring a junior operator, for example. We do have a test. We do have a generically simple mathematic and machine codes and things like that. We would give them the test. The second thing, we also have the attitude and the aptitude to understand, machining, so he can grow with us. So when we see that, I also want to make sure mentally that he's going to fit with our group. There's an important part of having a coherent type group. So we all get along, we all do our things, there's a group of us that go, golfing, bowling, whatever, right? So there's a bunch of that kind of stuff. So we're pretty close in. In fact, this Thursday we're having a company picnic, appreciation picnic, getting the people where the managers are going to cook hamburgers and hot dogs. It's that unity that comes into play. So when we hire, we want to make sure we got the that personnel that's going to fit not only in the machine but also with the personnel that he's going to be working with.
Yeah.
And it's basically understanding the aptitude of a person that be able to grow. So and it takes a little skill to all these hirings that people that hire. Those are some of the things they grow and understand what their personality is all about.
Yeah, great answer.
It's not always a machine. It's what are you about? What do you like to do? What is your your goals and things like that? So
yeah, great answer. All right, let's get back to parts again.
Yes.
What are we making here, and why is that made of Inconel, and why is that part so big? And there's a lot of complication to that part right there.
yeah. Well, this is just a section of the tubing structure that runs some type of gas through there in our launch sites. Okay. So this is basically one section of a connection. There's multiple parts. And you might see this on any of the launch videos you might see of a rocket in the launch site. We'll have some of this tubing in here that either, and it's some kind of gases. I'm not sure exactly what gases, but it's basically, it flows. That's why that surface finish needs to be a 16 finish, and the profile needs to be within 5. Because when this thing gets married together with the other part, that's an air gap that we need to make sure it's shut. So that's why. So what we're doing here, not only we faced it and drill the holes and back spot face these things, we're also milling the clevises that you see we're doing right now.
Incredible. Incredible work, incredible machine, incredible people. Am I allowed to ask you about this part over here? I know there's some things we can't show today, Art, but
No,
you've been really kind about talking about all these parts. What's this young man over here working on?
That is what we call the abort system housing. This is called like the case enclosure. There's another half of it. So you see those ports out there. Those are the exhaust ports that will have, in the case of emergency, that the vehicle has been compromised of some sort, that it evacuates the astronauts from the vehicle. So this will pull off about 5 Gs as it exits out of the vehicle. It would, of course, knock out the astronauts, but it basically clears them from the vehicle.
Well, I'm a fan of the cartoon Peanuts, and I think Snoopy in there is my favorite character.
Yes.
But there's a Snoopy that you've received 2 times, and I'm willing to bet part of it is because you're saving lives with this piece right here.
Right. We've had 2 received, and I believe both of them have retired. But we have one for the tooling inspection site, which we developed a lot of hardware for the nozzle hardware that we've made. We've also had the other recipient who used to modify or recondition the cases for the solid rocket boosters. So both of them, in recognition, NASA awarded them the Snoopy Award.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and finish off this tour because we've shown people large parts, large machines. We've talked about people. We've talked about history. We've talked about coming together to train a generation, actually several generations to work together. But you can't do all of this if you can't measure all of this.
Right.
And it's only fair for us to open up these doors and take a look at your measuring room because it's one of the more unique ones I've ever seen, and I have to be able to show the audience what's going on in here.
Absolutely.
So as we walk in, Art, it almost feels like this entire room is a space that can be measured.
Yes.
And I think I even saw a photo of a car being in here.
Right. So we can open up these doors, and obviously we can. So these surface tables in front of us here, they can be removed for any taller, larger parts. In this case, we're using just a couple of components here, so we're utilizing these surface tables. So, and as you can see here, we're using a roller arm, basically rather than the CMM. So we have facilities or capabilities to go on site on the machine and utilize this equipment to inspect parts. So things that can fit in here, and usually it's customer driven that there's a requirement for this type of measurement, or sometimes there's a profile stuff that it's hard to measure, and we'll do it on here. So that's
incredible.
what we're up against.
And this is your normal. This is your everyday is something that I am completely fascinated by from every step along this journey is your normal.
Yes, it is. It's kind of strange you say that because I had a customer coming here. We met up in the front office, and he says, "I really want to see if you guys can machine these for these rings for us, and they're kind of big, and so we want to make sure you guys can handle it." So as we're walking, I told him, "What size are these things?" They're about 80-inch diameter. I go, "Oh." As we're walking into the VTL room, he saw. He goes, "Whoa!" I go, "Wait a minute." He goes, "You can easily. In fact, is this too small for you?" So that attitude, changed real quick. So yes, we and you don't even think about it until somebody says something. We have big rings. I go, "Really? What size?" 80-inch diameter. Oh, we have 215-inch diameters. So, but yes, there is. You get them not necessarily immune to it, but you have to be back to reality when somebody says this is big. So yeah.
Again, what's normal to me is not normal to somebody else. Is not normal to somebody else. One person's size is completely different. All right, Art, thank you so much for this tour, walking us around, showing us the machines, the technology, the people. To close this whole thing out, as I made that joke earlier about, well, I hope you're ready, because it's no longer a kept secret. It is, this is now not a secret at all. Where can we find out more about you? For those who want to work with you, those who might want to find a good job here in Southern California as well, do you have a website that we can look up to learn more about what's going on?
It's Votaw.com.
Oh, you made it too easy for me. I could have even taken a guess about that one.
Yeah. So there's different things in there. Some of the job openings we have, and a little bit about us. Maybe I have to see the equipment type we have. So if anything is updated, we try to get that on there. But also can reach out, calling us. There's a number. We have our salesperson, Scott Wallace, who would probably start the ball rolling like that, and we'll look at things like that and see if it fits us, and if it does, then we're more than happy to look at it.
Yeah, well, when Art says, see if it fits us, I'm not sure if there's a size that almost doesn't, but if you're interested in learning more about this,
Yes.
this is my buddy Art. This is Votaw, as you can see right here, Precision since 1963, doing everything they can to have the highest quality parts, to be reliable, an honest partner for you out there. And if you're struggling, if you're doing jobs that are just starting to make you lose money and they're big jobs and you need help, reach out to my buddy Art. Reach out to all the folks over at Votaw. They are wonderful, wonderful people. Thank you all for watching. We will see you again soon.